Hello, this is bitbudha back again with another episode of the Blacks in Cybersecurity podcast. And today we have a very special guest. So Darren Spencer, right? I met him through the last year cohort of the Blacks in Cyber cohort, and he's a digital forensics and incident response like master. Like he's been in this industry he's in the industry like for a while, you know. So we brought him on just so he could share more of his insight, and I'll let him introduce himself as well.
Well, thank you, Keegan. I appreciate it. Master, that's probably a little too much for me, but thank you for those kind words. Greetings, everybody. My name is Darren Spencer, cybersecurity professional. I have been in this industry for roughly about 30 years. I started off, it's always been a passion. I started off working for the U.S. government at the Air Force. And I don't want to answer all your questions now, but I'm just happy to be here.
Got it. So in 30 years in the cyber industry, right? All right, so first question, was it called cyber back then? Because I know back then they probably called it like something different in the past.
Absolutely not. So most folks went into cyber from another space. So first of all, before it was cyber, we had boundary protection. It was network protection. It was network security. And then it was just baked into everybody's job, you know? So, yeah, so it wasn't cyber. It was something else. And I want to say that was coined by somebody at SANS. But yeah, yep.
Yeah, so it's amazing to see how like the terminology and stuff has shifted. So when you like entered, right, do you feel like it was easier back then and harder now, or do you feel like it's harder now and it was easier back then to enter this space?
To enter the space, I think it's easier now because you have a whole bunch of different avenues. The space has definitely matured. You know, when you would go in, when I came in, you were kind of a PC tech or a IT tech, and then you just floated around. Then we started dividing duties, server farm duties, infrastructure duties, desktop support, help desk. But all of those are defined now, and actually they're even growing.
Mm, got it. So, and yeah, there's a lot of options these days. Like, there's a lot of different resources and paths, as you said. So, and also, so would you? So, I think there's a lot of different paths, right? But usually, people
Absolutely.
they bring up like certifications or college or like. So, what are your views on that, right? In terms of the whole certification or college type thing, do you think that those like still are pertinent in 2026, or do you think that that's like kind of like old school thinking?
I I think it's definitely, well, education never hurts, right? I mean, like if you go to college, you're gonna go and learn, you're gonna get older, you're going to mature. And that's a lot of times what we use college for. It's a place to go to mature, to grow into your grown-up mind, right? However, do you have to? I got into the industry before I got my degree. I Once I retired out the army, I used my GI Bill to get my college, and that's where I got my bachelor's as well as my master's. However, I was in the field already prior to obtaining those. Now, certifications. I did get several certifications, and I started off with the CompTIAs. Um, well, I take that back because back in, I want to say 2008, I got my first certification, and that was a Microsoft Certified Professional Windows NT4 workstation. Was telling my age, but that was it. Yeah.
Wow. So like no, that's beautiful to hear. And so to step back a bit, so digital forensics incident response, right? So could
Right.
you break both parts of those down for people who don't know, like what is digital forensics and what is incident response?
Oh, okay, good. Digital forensics, you are actually taking a digital device and you are processing and analyzing it to tell a story. What happened, right? You're going to take artifacts and you are going to piece something together to tell a story about what happened on this device. Incident response is more or less responding to a problem on inside cyberspace, predominantly the network, right? So that's the DFIR, the digital forensics incident response piece.
Got it. And what do you think is like the first or like the fundamental first like principle of that space? Like once you're into that space, like what's the day one thing that they always teach you like everywhere?
Um, in digital forensics, the first thing they teach you is basically you have to be able to extract this without harming the original evidence. Okay, so you have to make that copy uh, and work off of that copy prior to, because you don't want to alter original evidence. So that's the first thing, do not destroy evidence, do not alter evidence.
Right. And with incident response, what do you say is the first principle for that one as well?
That's probably being able to understand what you're looking at, understand traffic. So I always tell everybody, right? If you're protecting the network, you should understand the network first, right? I mean, I I find it very hard people jumping into cybersecurity when you really don't know the fundamentals of what you're trying to secure. So my thing is, and I know everybody pushes to go security plus, security plus, security plus, but my thing is, hey guys, understand the network, understand how devices communicate with each other, be able to look at that, be able to draw from that, and build on top of it.
Yeah. No, that makes sense because if you're gonna secure something, even in like a physical space, right? If you're gonna secure a building, you want to know where, like, how the building like works or where the exits at. You want to know like everything about it first. So
Absolutely.
that makes sense.
Absolutely. So
And
understanding what the network does, understanding, hey, what's the difference between a router and a switch? How do they communicate? How can you tell the difference? What are their functions? Those type things. Tell me a little bit about TCP/IP. Understand what ports are you used for. And then not only that, but now you also have to expand it from the operating system view, right? So you got to look at it from a Windows, you got to look at it from a Linux, you got to look at it even from a Mac.
yeah,
So whole bunch to cover, but understanding the basic blocks and tackles, the basic fundamentals makes a lot of things much easier.
1,000%. Like, and it's like as you're speaking, it's like it hits super close to home because I'm studying for my CCNA now, and in this
Okay.
internship, it's like a hardware repair, and he has like Mac over here, Windows over here. He has all
Yep.
these different stuff. And he has, similar to what you're saying, he has to make sure he doesn't corrupt the original data of the client stuff. So everything you're saying is like I literally
Right.
understand. Um,
And even
and
understanding you're in the CCNA now. So even understanding the OSI model, the
right.
concept, how it works, how is it supposed to work? Those are the important things that I tell everybody to go back and get.
Got it. And so when I hear like digital forensics in general, right? I'm thinking about like cop scenes or like FBI scenes and like it's like a like yellow tape or like white tape. I'm thinking of like a whole movie in my head, right? So when you were in the space, was it like that? Like what would you say is the difference between how they sold the forensic stuff on like the movies and like the TV versus like real life?
Okay. So actually, I was on the cybercrime squad for the FBI for about 15 years, right?
Yeah.
The biggest thing, you're probably not solving anything in an hour. with commercials, right? So it takes time. You have to be able to support. The biggest thing is understanding that your position, you are clearly a support person. You're nothing lower, you're nothing higher. You go in with a specific skill set that you offer to the rest of the team, right?
Mm,
So you're looking at things, whether you're analyzing a telephone, a cell phone, whether you're analyzing a vehicle, whether you're analyzing servers, whatever you're analyzing, that's what you bring to the table. That's what you're able to do.
mm. Yeah, so yeah, definitely I could see it taking a lot more time. Because in like the movies they always show like it's then in like a second, like, oh, I figured it out. Like in like instantly,
Right.
bro, you can this out like instantly. That's like crazy. So
Yeah,
what
that's kind of false. And then take into account the amount of data that you have to parse through. I mean, we started off, let's face it, we started off where phones were, when you bought your first phone, how big was it? 16 gigs? How
mm,
big are they now? A
time,
terabyte? Yeah,
literally like it's
yeah,
crazy.
exactly. So all of that is data. So you have to parse through that. And it's kind of like finding that needle in the haystack.
Mm, got it. No, I could definitely see that. And what would you say that currently are the most popular like digital forensic and incident response tools? Like, what's a tool that's like, if you're working in this industry, like 9 times out of 10, you will use it like on a daily or weekly basis.
Oh, there's quite a few industry standard tools, right? When I teach this, I kind of keep it at an open source tool level. So we'll use tools like Autopsy. We'll use a lot of manual tools that you have to go to the command line to parse things out. Um, I use a lot of they're called Zimmerman tools, where I use like Timeline Explorer, and all of these are free and they're on the internet. Feel free to download and use. But we start off with open source. Now there is some cost, some tools at cost that we normally use, your Magnet Axiom, your Cellbrite, those type tools. But most of it you can get if you want to really go out and learn prior to buying all of these expensive tools. Some of them you can't even buy because they're geared just towards law enforcement. You can find an open source tool out there that'll help you understand it.
Got it. So like someone could just like go online now, like download Autopsy and download all this other stuff, and just kind of like start to like home lab this stuff. Like, is it a space where you could home lab stuff?
Absolutely.
How would
So
that go?
so so there's all types of websites that that I didn't have. I mean, you guys have what, Try Hack Me, you guys have Let's Defend, you guys have KC7 Cyber, which is an awesome incident response tool, learning platform for investigations, and it uses the Microsoft KQL language, which it's important to learn. It is. But there's a lot of places that you could go out there and build your lab. You could still download Autopsy. There's places that you can go that you can actually download images that you can use to analyze. I know I do. But yeah, there's a ton of resources out there, so much more than we had years ago. I mean, 5 years ago. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that you can go out there and learn
Yeah.
for free. For free, I might add.
Yeah, it's a very beautiful time to be alive because, as you said, like even 5, 10 years ago, these things just didn't exist, you know. So the fact we have
Absolutely not.
in like a fun and free, right? Both of them, like
Yeah.
it's fun and free, you know. It's like a beautiful thing. So I know you brought up the CompTIA, right? The CompTIA Security Plus, but
Mhm.
is there any certification that's specifically tailored towards like digital forensics and incident response, or are those being created, or?
Yeah, there's actually a few of them. So I know Sands has a few of them. They're very good, but they're very pricey. I know EC Council has a few of them. I know there's several digital forensic certifications that are out there. Not as much as the regular cyber security certs. So I would tell people to go out there, get your network plus, understand that, get your security plus, or maybe your CYSA, and then graduate up to those top tier certs. I know I got my CCDA, when I was a network engineer. I was designing networks. Let's see. I have the CEH, the CHFI. I had quite a few of them. I kind of let them drop because at a certain time, you're like, do I really need to pay to renew this? And I'm not using it anymore. And I still have the knowledge. So, yeah, that's the cert game.
Got it. Got it. And also, how did you come in contact with Blacks in Cyber? How long have you been with Blacks in Cyber,
Man,
Sonny?
I that's a good question. I've been a mentor for Blacks in Cyber about 5 years. Truly enjoy it. Truly love it. Um, I have met so many good people out there. I don't remember how I got into it though. I really don't. But I'm glad I did.
Yeah, that's like beautiful.
One of my
So
better moves.
no, like definitely, I'm definitely grateful for this because like Blacks in Cyber and this podcast as well because I feel like we have so much bright people in this space, right? And we could just like highlight it so like someone down the line, like a week from now or a year from now, if they're interested in digital forensics and incident response for people that look similar to them, they have this, So it's like definitely
Absolutely.
it's definitely a beautiful thing. And so also, how did the last cohort go? And do you know like of the update of like any future cohorts or how would that look or any of that?
The last cohort went well. Went well. The board really puts together a good show. Knock on wood. I give props to Chad.
Yeah,
He's always making it happen, and he has a very strong board behind him. I think they're gonna start looking at the next options after like DEF CON, Black Hat, stuff like that. I know that's a big thing with Blacks in Cyber, and
yeah.
it's coming up here shortly. So I think all the efforts are focused on that right now.
Got it. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, because I know like DEF CON, like it's gonna be hacker summer camp they call it. Like DEF CON, Black Hat. So I know that takes a lot.
Exactly.
That makes sense. And this is also, I guess, like a personal question I wanted to ask as well, because I'm debating joining the Air Force or the Space Force. So I wanted to know, like, what was your journey with the military in general? Like, why did you join, and
Okay.
how valuable do you think it was in your like cyber and tech career?
So look, I joined the Army back in 1981, and computers were punch cards then. I did not. I was an infantryman. That's what I did for the 20 years. I've always had this passion, and I had small jobs in the Army once they realized that I was pretty decent on a computer. But I was an infantryman, man. I was a paratrooper. I ain't even touched this stuff. And then when I retired from there, um, I studied enough to go work for the Air Force as a contractor in tech. It wasn't even cyber then, it was IT. And then I just took off from there. Went to several different jobs. Let's see, I was desktop support for executive com. I moved over to the server farm. I went into, it was called Netman, network management, network engineering. I did some managerial time as the deputy CIO for a hospital on Langley Air Force Base. Then I came back and I was the network engineer for the base. And that's when I moved over to the FBI. So
Wow. That sounds like such a fun, well, such a fun and interesting journey because you've been in so many different like.
Yeah, and I retired from the FBI in September, and now I'm a digital forensic incident response like consultant for a company that works primarily in the healthcare space. So I do incident response for hospitals.
Wow, that's cool, man. And outside, so clearly you have a lot of cyber tech, like you have all this experience, right? But what do you do outside of like work? Like outside of tech and outside of work, what do you do for fun?
Oh man, that's my family. I look, I got a daughter, and I make sure she gets where she needs to go, what she's doing. And when I'm not doing that, I love to deer hunt.
Mhm.
I love to fish. I haven't been fishing in a while though. So those things are now just so time consuming, but I will make time in the fall to go hunting. So
Well, no, that's like beautiful. Of course, like family and like having like these hobbies are like this beautiful thing to have. Actually,
absolutely.
I heard a story like yesterday, and I want to ask you about it. So, not to get super into detail, but like this guy,
No.
he had like a business, right? And then the company he worked with, they told him to have other hobbies because there's an issue of like people have all this knowledge from their personal secret like job, right? But they can't share it with like their friends and family. So they told him, hey, just go get like 5 different hobbies so you don't gotta talk about work. So is that like a thing that all people in like the military and government like say or do or recommend it
You
or?
know, I No, because no. Well, so look, there's certain jobs that, let's face it, if you're in cyber and you're an incident responder, let's be real. Bad guys just don't happen between 8 and 4, right? So, can you get the phone call at night? Absolutely. Can you work late when you didn't plan on it? Of course. That was the same thing in the FBI. I mean, like, look, there's times where, you know, you have to do that above and beyond stuff, and you have to go the distance, right? So, I wouldn't say I would convince somebody to get a hobby because, you know, doing this, I can honestly say I'm the luckiest guy in the world to get paid to do my passion, to do my hobby, because this is
Yeah.
it, and I get paid for it. You can't beat it.
No, that's like beautiful, honestly. Like it's good to have like a very like it's beautiful to enjoy what you're getting paid for. That's like heaven, honestly.
Exactly. Yep.
That's like the best feeling ever. So no, like I'm definitely happy for you. And so we're in 2026, right? And we all know in the whole tech industry, everyone has been talking about this AI stuff, right? So I wanted to get your perspective, right? From your end, like
Okay.
what are your views on it? What do you think about it? Do you use it? What would you recommend about it? Just like your views on AI in general.
So AI is here. It's not going anywhere.
Hmm.
And I gave a presentation a couple of weeks ago to a bunch of parents.
Hmm.
AI, what you should know. And I talked to them about, hey, here's what AI is. Here's what you should be using it for. Here's what your kids are using it for. And here's what you need to be mindful of. Um, I would tell everybody the same thing I told them. AI is not a tech thing now. It's an everybody thing because it's getting into every nook and cranny it can, right? I also convinced them, hey, there's enough free AI classes online. I challenge you guys to sit with your kids
Hmm.
and take one.
Right.
And take one. Understand how your kids are using it in school, whether their teacher allows them to or not, because they're using it,
Right.
right? So now, how do we make sure our kids still learn while they're using it? I just don't want you to put in the question and pop out the answer and you're done. you still need to be able to understand that answer, articulate that answer, and learn from it.
Mm,
So that's AI isn't going anywhere. We just need to, and yeah, sure, it's gonna eliminate some stuff, but you know what? It's gonna make some jobs as well. We just
mm,
all need to understand it.
yeah, yeah,
You
like
don't have
definitely.
to know. You don't have to learn it from some scientific level, but you still need to know how to use it. And do I use it? Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, I feel like it's very important to just like understand and respect it, but I also feel like there's a point you said it's like how you use it, right? Because it's not
Right.
just using it to like this pop out answer to you, but like thinking like what is it? What is the thought process, right? Like how did it get to the right answer? So I feel like definitely educational workshops on like how to use it properly to be like a addition to your education and not replace your brain pretty much, but just using that like
Absolutely. No, you're right. You're right.
yeah,
Don't replace your brain, but let it augment it.
exactly. So that's cool. And I wanted to know, so in digital forensics incident response, do you have to know programming languages, or does that help, or what languages would you recommend, or like
Uh, I'm not. I'm not really a big programmer. I I can get around scripting. Doing some scripting language with maybe PowerShell or Python or something to that effect. But um, absolutely, we're living in a time now where things are starting to be
yeah,
automated. So that's another thing I would tell young people: understand the automation piece.
mm,
I'm actually working on this tool called N8N
I heard of
now,
that.
and
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, and it's so cool. So that's on my bucket to learn, and I started it earlier, and yeah, Sec AI is another one that I'm in class for. So constantly learning in this field.
yes, oh,
You have to be a constant learner.
literally, like always.
Yep. I'm 62 and I'm still
Wow.
learning.
It's beautiful that you're still doing this too. Like you must have like a real passion for it, honestly. Because I think you worked in
I do. It's
yeah
fun.
you worked enough this coast, right? But you're still doing this actively, which is like a beautiful thing to see, honestly.
Yep. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, and what I wanted to ask, uh, certifications, right? So I know you said it's like
Uh-huh.
there's certifications for digital forensics and incident response, but also no the clearances, right? So this is it's I guess a personal
Ah,
question as well, but I get like it will help other people,
okay.
So these clearances, right? One of the reasons I'm thinking about going into the Space Force or the Air Force is right because they sponsor clearances, right? And in the cyber space, a lot of these roles, that clearance seems to be very valuable, right? So since you come from like the military space, right? How valuable do you think clearances are? Do you think that like they're necessary or they're not necessary? Is it worth it to go to the military? Like, what are your views on that whole journey?
So are clearances valuable? Absolutely. Um, would I tell anybody to go to the military just to get a clearance? Absolutely not. Um, Look, you go to the military and understanding what the military does, right? Look at our current day. We got people all over the place, right? So understand what you're going to do in the military, understand what the overall goal of the military is. Now, is it nice to have a clearance? Yes. Will it advance you in certain jobs? Absolutely. Um, is it hard to get? Not really. Is it hard to maintain? Not really. Just, be a productive citizen. You know what's right and wrong. Um, I think I would tell today's kids with clearances is understanding the difference between state and federal laws, especially when it comes down to like marijuana, right?
Yes.
So state law may say it's okay. Well, see, federal law says no. And you know what? Your clearances are based off of federal law.
Mm, got it. And also with digital forensic, like internet response, right? Before you got
Mhm.
deeper into space, right? What's like something you thought about this space, and once you got in, you realized it was like a misconception or something that would kind of surprise people that they probably didn't think about the space in general.
Um, I would tell people if they go into digital forensics and if they go into digital forensics, especially from a law enforcement perspective, understand that there may be some things that you can't unsee,
Mm,
right? So, I mean, you're looking at devices, especially phones, that are, I mean, like we carry our whole lives on our phones. We do. I mean, we carry more on our phones now than we have in that filing cabinet at the house. So I would just say that was something that kind of took me back for a minute. Um, Depending on what type of cases you work, understand that some of them could be a little more uh, gruesome than others. There's a difference between white collar and violent crime, right? So you just have to think about what you would see. White collar, you see a lot of numbers. Violent crimes, you can see a lot of deaths. So understand that that's a part of the job.
yeah, and I'm glad we're going down this route because I feel like, especially in cyber, a lot of things are glamorized, right? Like, oh, like cyber, oh, so much money, da da da, right? But there's a lot of
Yep.
stuff on the back end that people don't speak about. So, what's a story that you could share about something that's like probably like gruesome or like wow, like something to really make people think before they step on this path? What's a story that you could share with them?
Well, I that's going to be a hard one. I probably can't share stories. However, I can say that you don't get to pick what you're going to work on,
Mm,
right? You get cases. Now, whether it's this type of case or that type of case, we don't get to pick whether we go out with this squad or that squad. You're going to get your bag and you're going to go. Um, there's some cases that I've been on that, look, a lot of gore. But then there's some cases that I've been on that was, kind of light. But remember, doing this for law enforcement, you're investigating a crime. Period. So there's nothing really, good about it, right? I mean, somebody did something or alleged to do something, and you're trying to find out if that is in fact true.
mm. Yeah, that's
Now from the corporate standpoint, most of the time you're battling against hackers, people that drop ransomware, people that are trying to sit on somebody's network, people that are trying to steal stuff. So that's from the corporate piece. So there is somewhat of a difference if you do corporate or if you do law enforcement. Um, yeah.
and bringing up the hackers. I think this is an interesting thing in cyber, right? The skill set we have, right? Being like white like hackers or whatever, right? We're doing things for like good, right? We're doing things for like the good of the people, right? Pretty much. But with these skill sets, so for digital forensics and internet response, right? The skills that you have there is just as easy for someone to use it maliciously, right? Like in digital forensics, pretty much it works on like both sides.
Right. And see, one of the things I tell students is that when you're applying for a clearance, yes, there is a question or two about have you ever um, broken into a computer network that you weren't supposed to be on? And make sure you answer that correct. Sometimes it comes with a conversation, but I tell kids now that there's no need for you to do that because the training platforms are out there. So if you do that now, there's very little
Right,
excuse.
right. Yeah. Especially because these platforms they get pretty intricate. It almost feels like you're actually doing it anyway, like on the platform. So that's a lot better. And also, so I know we spoke about the certifications, college clearances, right? Are there any like books or like courses or anything related to that you would recommend as well?
So I am a big podcast slash blog person. So there is I get an email every Sunday from this blogger, and it's this week in the number 4, the letter N, and the number 6. This week in 4 and 6, right? Forensics. Which he does an outstanding job of pulling all the other blog articles together. So that's my Sunday morning, right? I'm drinking coffee, watching Meet the Press, going through this, right? There is also a podcast called the CISO series, Cybersecurity Headlines. Comes out every morning. It's an 8-minute down and dirty on what took place in cyber the day
Right.
before. But there are a bunch of podcasts out there. I know Palo Alto has a very good one. I know Intel 471, I think. They have a very good, and these are like threat hunting podcasts, incident response podcasts, very good out there. Microsoft has a good one too. They all have very good ones. You just have to go out, do a search on what podcasts fits the need for you. Sometimes I listen to one and not the other. You know, a lot of times when I'm on the road and I'm driving a long time, my family knows we're listening to
Yeah,
podcasts.
that's
They don't like it, but we're listening to podcasts.
that's beautiful. No, but yeah, thanks for sharing those. I'm definitely gonna check them out, and I'm sure everyone else will as well. And
Absolutely.
speaking about podcasts, so who is like, so in cyber, there's not to call them celebrities, but there's some like really, really well-known people, right? So in the DFIR space,
Yes.
who is like the Michael Jackson or the Michael Jordan of that space?
So there's so many different ones. And you know what? I follow a lot of them on
Right.
LinkedIn. So use your social media platform to read what the smart people are saying, right? I mean, I do. I'm looking at something AI related every day. I'm looking at something hacker related every day. What's happening in other countries, and all of that you can get from your social media platform, right? So I know I follow and connect with a lot of cybersecurity professionals on LinkedIn and look at a lot of blogs. But there's so many people out there that are doing so many different things at a high level. There's no one Michael Jackson. There's like 100 of them.
I can, because I pretty much do the same thing on like my LinkedIn. It's pretty much stacked with cyber people. Pretty much like I probably 50% of the people that I follow are like cyber people. So I definitely see where you're
Absolutely.
coming from. And what else? So if someone is just starting off like today, like tonight, after watching, well, this afternoon, after watching this, right? They're like, I want to be a DFIR master, right? They start off day zero, no experience. They never even touched a computer, right? What would you recommend them to do? Like, what is the most efficient and straightforward route for that person?
So I would tell them to start leveraging YouTube, start leveraging free sites that they can really have a solid understanding of it. um you have your I'm not saying go out and get these certs, but let's see, we have the A plus where we understand hardware, right? We have the network plus where we understand networking. Those are the two most important: understanding how hardware works in your PC, your phone, your server, whatever, and then understanding how devices talk to each other. And then don't forget, we still have wireless and cellular we have to count in, take in account of, right? And they communicate different via these different platforms. And to include, you know, how much data does your car keep on you? You know, there's a big digital forensic footprint in vehicles now. Your infotainment system, your telemetric system, you know, what what phones were connected to this car. You know, I always tell people, you know, never connect your phone to a rent a car, right? Because it just connects and downloads all your stuff. Not all of it, but a good amount. Um, I don't connect my phone to nothing but something that's
Right.
mine, you know. And yeah.
Got it.
But yeah, there's just a whole bunch of different areas that people could get into. And now we're even, I mean, and I'm not into this as much as I would like to be, but now they're looking even into the OT space, right? So you're looking at boilers and how devices communicate with each other from a perspective of like thermostats, from a perspective of, you know, just the infrastructure that's not IT. You know, so there's another whole total space that's that I know needs a lot of help in that field, you know. So, but back to the basics, blocks and tackles, understanding how the hardware works, understanding the networking side of the house. Then you can branch off from there and start looking at different things.
Right. Yeah, there's a lot of different branches, which is like as we're kind of saying similar to earlier. There's a lot of different routes people could take, which is like a beautiful thing, of course.
Yep.
And
So there's also a big space in cloud forensics, right?
yeah,
You know, being able to look at the AWS instance or being able to look at, you know, this Microsoft Azure environment and see what touched it, when, how did it move, what did it connect to. And there's just a ton of logs out there that you know, you get good at being able to decipher all of
right.
this.
Yeah, that flows well into my next question. So similar to like I was asking, what do you think about the AI, this cloud stuff? Like it's so like I feel like both of them are kind of like hand in hand, pretty much, right? But how pertinent would you say it is like to learn the cloud, or what path would you recommend for people in that? Like, is it something that a digital forensics person like should learn like regardless, or is it just like a cool like add-on, a little sprinkle on top? You think?
Well, I that's kind of hard to say. Um, I would definitely, it would be to your best interest to understand how cloud works, just like the network working piece. Have that basic understanding so you can at least go, okay, here's what I think I need to look at to further this investigation. How do these cloud components work? What do they log? And how would that log benefit me in telling a story? So those are the things. Yeah, cloud's another thing. It's not going anywhere. You see the fights with the data centers. You know, I mean, like there's a lot in the news about data centers now. So you know, it just tells you it's not going anywhere. So get it, understand it, and there's a lot of free resources out there too. Microsoft, as well as Google, as well as AWS, all have free resources that you can go and learn about their cloud infrastructure.
Yeah, and I love what you said at the beginning. Just being aware of it so you know what to look at or you know what to troubleshoot, right? Because you don't have to be like a master, but if you have like the awareness to have like an educated question or like an educated thought on it and like just have an educated conversation about it, it will take you a lot further than someone who didn't know anything about it. So I definitely,
Absolutely.
yeah. And also, earlier you were speaking about like how taxing it could probably be with like some of the not so much fun cases people have to be on. So how do you like avoid burnout, right? Because I think it's a lot. Most jobs have this, but like especially in cyber, like depending on your role, it could be like really intense, right? So what are some things you did to like alleviate burnout or make the burnout a bit less?
Man, I come home to family. Understand your purpose. Why are you doing what you're doing? And just know when to raise the flag and just go, hey guys, you know what? I'm tired. Or hey guys, you know what? I need to pull back from
Right.
this. That's the biggest thing on burnout. Different space now, because growing up back in the day, nobody cared about you burning out. You didn't burn out. You just kept going. But here, yeah. And as a leader, you should actually watch your team to make sure you can notice burnout, and then you can get in front of it and go, hey, okay, here's what I need for you to do. Or, hey, I need for you to pull back for a minute. Or, hey, I need for you to, you know, woosah, whatever you do to bring it back to normal. But another thing that we haven't spoke about yet, and hindsight being 2020, I wish I would have took advantage learning this better. The soft skills, right? So
Yeah.
the soft skills. You will write a lot of reports. People don't realize that, you document so much in this space, whether you're documenting from a policy perspective, whether you're documenting for a report, whether you're documenting that you have someone else to come in and pick up where you left off. You want to give them some sort of documentation to follow, right? So documentation, communication. People have a tendency to think the real smart cyber neat geeks sit in a closet and just do their thing. No, you got to be able to reach out and talk, communicate, articulate. And I like saying being a people person.
Yes. Yeah, and this is beautiful because as soon as you started speaking about the leadership, I was just gonna like ask you like, so how did you develop those people skills and like what is the best way you think someone else should go about that?
So, you know what? I think sometimes you have to develop it. Sometimes I think it's just in you. My daughter and my wife say I never meet a stranger. I can talk to anybody. And they're right. I don't, I can talk to just about anybody and just bring up conversation and it takes off from there. But, just taking your time, planning, having a good plan, having a solid plan, very important. Where do you see yourself in a year? Where do you see yourself in 3 years? Where do you see yourself in 5 years? Where do you see yourself in this industry? Um, and this is what we also do as leaders to develop our subordinates, right? These are we sit here and we try to, like, from mentor to mentee on in BIC. This is what we did to, hey, look, what do you want to do? Where do you want to go? What are your steps you're going to take? And with that, we develop this plan of action, and we help them implement it.
Yeah, that's like beautiful. Like these are like even outside of tech, these are just like human things, right?
Right.
These are things in like life. And I've heard, I feel a bit lucky in my journey. I haven't had any crazy like managers or bosses or coworkers yet, right? But I've heard a lot of stories, right? I've heard a lot of stories about them being like bosses are really just like out there, right? So, what is your advice to someone who has to work with like a boss, a manager, a coworker who's like this really not an ideal person, right? What is your recommendation for them?
Oh, look, I tell people, look, unfortunately, I never really had that, so have I had better bosses than others? Yeah, probably, but somebody that I just couldn't come in and close the door and say, hey, man, look, I got a problem and I'd like to talk to you about it. Not really. I mean, because how many people actually stay when they have those bosses, So do the best you can and take what you can. And, the best time to look for a job is when you have one. Right?
That part.
That part. Yep.
But that's beautiful. I definitely agree. Just doing your best, and always knowing that there's people who will love and respect you in your personal life and in your professional life. Go where you're praised, not where you're like tolerated, not where you're put down, like ever. So I definitely agree with that. I also wanted to ask, I was about to slip. No, I wanted to ask about I'm losing it. It's fine. No, I got it. Business, right? Entrepreneurs, right? So for someone who's getting the DFIR space, what is like a good or like very clear business path, right? For someone who just doesn't want to like work in DFIR, but for someone who probably wants to have a business in this space, what's like a business model or frame that you feel like is very clear?
As far as, I mean, look, you are providing a service, right? Whether your service is DFIR, whether it's I would say if you're trying to get out of there as far as being entrepreneurial, understand that most of your entrepreneur time is not being spent by the stuff you really like to do. It's being spent in growing the business, right? So ask yourself first, hey, I love this DFIR stuff, but if I start this business, how much DFIR stuff am I going to do? And then try to find a niche, right? Are you digital forensics, audio video forensics, telemetrics, infotainment system forensics? Try to find that niche and, start your business, do your marketing, look at what's out there now. How are you going to compete with the current models? There's just typical business stuff minus the technical stuff that you have to sit out and map out.
Yes. And that's a intricate transformation because I feel like a lot of people love this tech stuff so much, right? But when you're building a business, it's almost like a different energy, right? You have to tap into a whole different energy and a whole different headspace. Because I always use the example like Elon Musk and Bill Gates, they're known for like software, right? But they're probably not coding right now, right? Elon Musk and Bill Gates probably aren't at the terminal like coding or like programming.
Right.
So you always gotta like learn how to like manage people after that.
Yep.
Yeah. So what are some of your like goals for like the rest of the year? Because I know that you're saying that you're doing DFIR for like hospitals now, but what are you?
I'd like to learn more about the AI space. That's the hot one. There's a couple of tools that I'm trying to learn. So I'm playing around that, and then just in my lab at home, I just geek out from time to time. There's some stuff I want to learn. Yeah.
That's cool. And in in the AI space, is there like do you have a preference for any like model or any, or you just like use all of them pretty much?
So I'm actually learning that now, and one of the things I wanted to do was build, was it Llama? Download and install Llama and see just how it works from behind the scenes. And then I'm also looking at Chat, and I'm also looking at Claude, and then trying to understand what all goes into it, and then try to leverage or try to understand how the adversary's using it. Right. So how is bad guy going to take this AI and use it against me? And how can I take AI and counter that?
Right, right. No, that like makes sense. It's a very interesting space because especially it's
It
moving
is.
so quickly that it's like
Yes.
every day something new like drops. So and there's all right. So also this is something I wanted to ask as well because it's kind of recent news. So since you were in like the military and like the government space, right? Um, Anthropic dropped a model, right? And I guess like the government was doing like a red team to kind of test how secure it
Yep.
was, right? And I heard it really hacked into some of the most quote unquote secure systems on the planet in like a couple hours, right? Which sounds like ridiculous, but I wanted to know like what do you think about that? Because that's like that.
I the jury's still out on that one. I need to read a lot more to understand it, but I don't think anything in today's world is impossible. So I don't put anything past anyone. So could it have happened? The best thing now is what are we doing to prevent it from happening again?
Yeah, yes, it's definitely it's a very when I say we need a new word because interesting doesn't even fit what this is. Honestly, this is beyond like interesting. But no, I'm excited, a little scared, a little excited at the same time. No, it's definitely a very very interesting space. Yeah, so what are some like last few words of advice you would just give for people who are just entering deeper into the cyberspace right now in general?
Hey, just take it as a passion, study, have a plan, figure out what you like. And it's okay to take a class and go, you know what? I thought I liked that and I don't, and go to the next. Um, Start off as the generalist, understand your networking. That's so important. And then move on to your specialty, whether it's DF, IR, both, cloud, AI, programming, full stack, whatever. Understand the basics first. It'll be so much easier for you.
Yes, 1,000%. And we have about like a minute and 30 seconds left. But just to give the people your like contact, any events you're going to, any conferences you're going to, like any way for them to just stay in touch and see all the stuff you're doing in the future.
Yes. Let me provide that to you so we could post it with it. But I'm out on LinkedIn, obviously. And by all means, I'll leave you my email. They can hit me up if they need something. I don't have a problem taking some time out.
Sweet. Well, yeah. I definitely appreciate it, especially like having someone who's like in BIC. This is like the real BIC like energy right here. Like, is it the BIC?
There it is.
I appreciate you for coming on, sharing your wisdom
Okay.
and sharing insight. I know that the people will get a lot of value from this. And yeah, we'll see you next time.
All right, man. Hey, thank you. Take care. Stay safe.